Okay, so thank you everyone so much for coming. So just a quick welcome. This is amazing. I mean, look at all these wonderful faces that we've got going on here today. It was so wonderful to see that this panned out very well, and I'm so happy to see all of you here. Just a little bit to introduce myself. So my name is Sonia Spala. I'm an associate mechanical engineer here at the district, and I am the president of ROCC. So as many of you probably know now, right, ROCC is the newest affinity group that we've spent, the better part of over the last year helping to found, get started, start the general membership meetings, and it's just amazing to see all of these wonderful faces here today, knowing that this took, a year in the making. And I just wanted to share with you, right, that I remembered when we were first starting this at the beginning of last year, we were planning the Women in Construction event, and then shortly after, we were talking about all the positions that needed to be held and realizing that we needed to hold an election before we could officially establish the group. And I will never forget having a conversation with Jamie, and she and I were discussing what positions we thought we might go for and the importance of making sure that all those positions were filled. And I said to her, it's okay, I will run for president because this is just too important, because all of you, the women of EBMUD, are important, and all of our allies are important as well too. And that's what we're here today, and with all of our wonderful Women's History Month events are here to do, right? We're to remember the importance of us and also to celebrate that as well too. So thank you again all for coming. If you didn't know about the rest of the Women's History Month events, we are going to be at Infrastructure Week as well too, so we're going to have some booths set up for that. We also have our Close of Month celebration that's on Wednesday, the 27th, where we're going to have our wonderful keynote speaker, who is the first woman board member and also the first City of Berkeley representative, Ms. Helen Burke. Ooh, that. That was amazing that she committed to come for us, so we really appreciate that, and that's going to be so exciting, so I encourage all of you to come to that as well too. And then we're going to have some webinars that are free with Fidelity about financial independence, so you can find out more about that on our ROCC splash pad page. So speaking of the ROCC splash pad page, we have two very important votes going on during the month of March. One is for our logo. Please see to your left or right, and don't forget to drop your tickets on before you leave here today. So we are going to unveil the logo at the end of the month on the 27th for our closing ceremony. The other thing that you can vote on, which is only on our Splashback page, is the 3 inaugural initiatives, which will also be unveiled during our closing event on the 27th. And just a quick shout out, I wrote down a list of all the wonderful people that helped out today. So first of all, special thanks to the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Culture. They have been instrumental in helping us figure out how to go about this process and help us through every step of the way. And we honestly really couldn't have done it without their support. And a special shout out specifically to Courtney Carlson, Talia Gonzalez, and Janella Samber Wallace. They have been amazing, and thank you so much again for all of the many budget reviews and approvals that you just did over the last couple weeks for us. We really do appreciate you working with us on that. And a huge round of applause, please, to all the women who helped make this event and the coming events possible for Women's History Month. Thank you so much. And then finally, just a quick shout out to our brilliant SMT sponsor, Sophia Skoda. Thank you. You really could have done it. So, she might have, she was here.
She's here.
Yeah, she's here. So thank you again, everyone who helped make this happen. We've got a wonderful panel here for you today. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome Ashley to the stage, who's going to introduce our panel to us.
Thank you, Sonia. Again,
thank you all so much for taking time out of your schedules to be here. Keys to the Future is our panel discussion. I'm Ashley Stolf. I'm an engineering designer in the pipeline infrastructure division. I design pipeline for applicants, system improvements, and infrastructure renewal. I've been with the district for just a little over a year. I decided to join ROCC, kind of what Sonia echoed was because the women of East EBMUD are important, and I think it's critical to have a community and a community that supports one another. I would like to give the floor to our 6 amazing panelists who will introduce themselves. I'll start with Crystal.
Thank you. Actually, I'm going to stand up because I can't see everybody. It's great to see all these inspiring future leaders here in the room. Thanks for coming. So I'm Crystal Yasmin. I've been here for just a mere 4 months. I'm the manager of maintenance and construction, which is a department in OMD, operations maintenance department. And so under me is about 650 people. Wow. So it's a big group. We've got distribution maintenance, pipeline maintenance, engineering or equipment support services, and we have a small elite engineering team on my group. But it's great to be here. I'm really looking forward to working at East EBMUD, and I'm sure we'll have a lot more to say about our where we came from and our experiences. But I'll pass it over to the next panelist.
Well then, I'll stand up so I can see everybody too. I'm Diane Starr. I'm a maintenance machinist. I've been at the district for just a smidge over 2 years, and this is the first time I've been in a room with this many women since I've started my job. So it's kind of astonishing. So great to be here.
Thank you. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Jamie Sweet, and I'm an assistant engineer in construction division, so working on a lot of the capital projects that you guys design and help out with. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you. Oh, and I've been here for 6 years.
Why you say Good morning. I'm Gina Baker. I am a Boomerang employee. I worked here from when I was 5, in 1984, 1996, left, came back, and I have been here now since last April, so about almost off probation, get excited. So I've been here for 11 months, and I'm a community affairs representative in ODEC. Thank you.
What was your first job?
Ooh, my first job here?
Yes.
I had just graduated high school. This is a part of my talk, girl, so I'll shut up.
How do I go after you? Nalani Keith-Delaney. I am the carpenter supervisor here at FMC West. I've been here 18 years. I started at Carpenter Trades 1 position and went through to journey level carpenter, and I've been a supervisor for 3 years, and I also oversee the side shop. Okay, to make sure you're still here. Yeah, I don't see Sophie. That's okay. They said she was here. My name is Gina Jenkins, and I'm the manager of maintenance support, and I'm actually one of the direct reports for Crystal in the maintenance and construction division. So I'll just say quickly, because people don't know what maintenance support is. So I manage meter reading maintenance, equipment support, fleet, backflow, meter shop, building tenant services, and janitorial. So this hasn't been proven, but I think I'm the one manager who has the most different disconnected orgs at the district. That's my claim to fame. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much for those introductions. And I do want to make a point that we would love audience participation. So if you guys have any questions at any time, raise your hand and we will get a mic to you. All right, so I guess we'll get this started. So the first question is going to be for Gina Jenkins and Nalani. What was one of the most defining moments in your career? Can be a positive or a negative. And then what impacts did this moment have on you and your current position?
Oh, okay.
Do I have to stand up? Sit down?
You don't have to stand up, no.
Do I need that? Can you hear me?
Yeah, but maybe because of the camera, use the microphone, please.
Really? There's people on TV.
Yeah, we have about 24 people on TV. You have to turn it on.
The microphone. I'm gonna go over here because it feels funny. I'm the first one, so yay for me. What was the most defining moment in my career? Let's see. 3 years ago, I became a supervisor here. I've been here 15 years. Before that, I would say the most defining moment in my career was September 6th. I got a phone call from what will then be my new superintendent saying that I got the job. First thing I said, excuse my language, oh shit. And then I said, are you effing kidding me? Because I didn't believe it. I still don't believe it. So I don't know if that's an imposter syndrome thing, which I think some of you know, or probably all of us know because we probably live it every day. So I would say that's my defining moment. I didn't believe I got the job. Everybody else is like, oh, you're great at your job, you know what you're doing. Until she said, you have the job. And then a week later I met with her. Hello. A week later I met with her and I said, did I get the job because I was a woman? Which is what we all think, or at least I think. Did I get the job because of a woman? I'm in the trades. Diane and I know, like, you walk in our building now, there's me and her and two other people, one other person, right? One other woman. And she said, no, you were the best person for the job and you just happened to be a woman. And I was like, wow. So I would say that's my most defining moment. That's when I felt like, oh, I'm doing the job I'm supposed to do, and people see that I do it well. Do I fight that every day? Sure. Sure, I fight that every day. I started my career here with a really good supervisor who never made me think anything other than I just did my job well. I will end my career with a really good superintendent who makes me feel like I do my job really well. And it doesn't matter that I'm a man or a woman. So, I think I answered everything.
So is it a problem if we stand up? It just feels awkward because I can't see the room if I sit down.
You're good.
So I said I started 17 years ago at the district, and I started as a customer service manager. So where I am now is very different than when I came to the district. And I had spent 13 or so years prior to that as a supervisor and manager at UPS, United Parcel Service. So unlike Nalani, I built my whole career managing groups in different sizes. So I never had imposter syndrome. But that didn't mean that I didn't have to prove myself constantly. I knew that I had the credentials, but honestly, the way I was received at the district could have led to imposter syndrome because I came from outside. So when you come from outside, even though you may have the credentials, you know it takes a while for people to feel a level of comfort with you. You have to prove yourself. If you're promoted from inside, people kind of already know what you can do. You already have a reputation established. So came to the district as a customer service manager, just managing field services and meter reading. And one thing led to another under Mike Wallace, who was a prior director of operations and maintenance. And he had a desire to have the meter reading group fall under operations and maintenance because he had some ideas about repairing meters and changing meters and thought it was more in line with the YARS and DMC and their meter repair group, which I absolutely agreed with him. But because I had the meter reading experience, they did a reorg, and it was a slight monetary promotion and some additional adjustment. But I had to interview for my position, which was water under the bridge. However, not necessarily sure that was the best thing to have to do. The person's already in a position, but that's okay, that's the district way. So once the reorg happened and I had an opportunity to work in O&D, the trajectory of my career at the district changed for the positive. Because customer services and where I was kind of limiting in terms of having, for me, only because of the experience that I had before. One of the challenges that I had in thinking about coming to work for a civil service agency was whether or not I would be challenged. Because both my parents were civil servants, and it wasn't anything I was necessarily encouraged to do. And I was used to private industry, and these things were happening much quicker. I mean, how much time do I have? 2 minutes? Because I would go on and on. Back when I was in high school. So anyway, let me speed ahead. Anyway, they did a reorg, and I had an opportunity to work in operations and maintenance under the leadership of Mike Wallace. So some of you who know Mike Wallace, by reputation, people thought, ooh, you know, Mike Wallace was stern, difficult to work for, mean. That was not my experience with Mike Wallace. We fit well. He was some of those things. However, it matched my personality and style very well. And Mike Wallace supported so many women at the district. If not for Mike Wallace, I would not have had that opportunity. And they did the reorg, and they added some of those different pieces slowly but surely to what is now this maintenance support division. But it was a challenge because I hadn't been in operations and maintenance at the district before. And it was a challenge. But as long as you persevere and you know that you have what it takes to do the job, you have to stick to your guns. And even though there's some things that are fearful because they're new to you, that's life, right? That's whether it's your personal or professional life, if you've gone to school, there's so many challenges that you're going to have to overcome. Like I said, I came into the district knowing that I had the skills and the management experience to do and overcome whatever challenge was before me. So that was the greatest challenge. What was it? The greatest obstacle? It was really coming in the OMD. I was a fish out of water. But I persevered again. You have to have the ultimate confidence in yourself before others will have the confidence in you. So I think I covered it? Okay, so that's my story. I keep having that down, like you're the, no, I'm pressing down. Help me.
Yeah, I don't want to do this. Idle hands. Thank you for that. That's pretty amazing. I feel like Nalani and I had this conversation just before we started about the whole imposter syndrome. And I find myself, my internal narrative saying, you know, you are supposed to be here. You know, you do have the skill set. You're meant to be here. I'm meant to be here. We're all meant to be here. You know, there's always going to be challenges, and we're always going to be fearful of new changes. But you have to persevere and you have to move forward. And again, you're meant to be here. My next question, or our next question, is for Diane and Crystal. What advice would you give a woman just starting out in the industry? You want to go first?
Okay, sure. Hi. Well, first off, I just want to say that the glass ceiling is real. Implicit bias is real. Even explicit bias is real. And I'm sure we've all experienced it at some point in our careers. And the trick is just to be resilient and to just keep trying and putting your name out there, advocate for yourself. You have to build credibility and technical knowledge. But not only do you have to be strategic, but you also have to be tactical. And so really get in there and roll up your sleeves and get the work done. It's important to develop a network and mentors, to find allies to support you. I would say, you know, show of hands in the room. How many people have lost out a job to a tall white male? Yeah, see, the trick is to just keep applying. Keep going for those jobs. That's how you do it. That's how you succeed. And you have to say to yourself, why not me? Why not me? And you might have heard this before from some other women leaders. But yeah, why not me? I can do the job. Why not me? And so just keep going with it. I mean, there's been many times in my career where other people, genders, have taken credit for the work that you've done. But I always try to be positive and think that the project would never have actually been successful or even come to fruition if it wasn't for my input into that project. So regardless of who's taking credit, I can walk home and be confident that I was the one that made it happen. So just, revel in that knowledge that your input, whether it's acknowledged or not, is really valuable to the organization, to yourself, and to your career. So that's some of the advice I would give you. I would also say continue, getting your certificates and your continuing education and professional development. If I don't know something, I get a book and I read it. So those M manuals from AWWA, you want to learn about capital financing for a water utility, there's a book for it. Read it cover to cover. I mean, it's kind of boring, but I'm a bit of a water, but if you don't know it, learn it, and then you'll be able to apply it. I had a friend that was a maintenance guy, and he was an independent contractor, and somebody would ask him to do something at their house, like a remodel or something. Didn't matter if he'd ever done it before. He'd say, oh yeah, I could do that. And then he'd go get, and figure out how to get it done, right? So really, just have confidence in yourself and keep pushing. I have adhered to the career scaffolding in my career, where I hit that glass ceiling, and instead of waiting, 30 years to hopefully maybe I'll break it and get promoted, no, I go to where I'm appreciated. And so if you know you have value, and you're hitting up against that glass ceiling, I would advise you to look elsewhere. I'm sorry, Clifford, but it's a fact of the matter. A woman, working in a utility business like this, it's, if you know you have value, you can provide a benefit to an organization, then get out there where you're appreciated and make it happen.
I wish I recorded you. What she said, yeah. So I love my job, and I love what I do, and I love the tall white men that I work with. I don't usually look eye to eye with a lot of people. I'm almost 6 foot, so anyways, that has nothing to do with conversation. But yeah, I have to say, so I was familiar with this kind of work. I was a machinist in the Navy, so I did that like decades ago. So I'm coming back. This is like a second career for me. And so I'm able to like look at things from two different angles of like how I can do things differently than when I was 20-something in this industry. And I kind of want to echo a little bit of what was said already about first of all, I think it's really important to find allies, people who are going to come alongside you in whatever you do, and also mentorship. I think it's really important. I did not do that when I was in my 20s. I thought I had to do it all myself, and I had to prove that I could do it. And I did okay, but I didn't do very well internally. So what's different today is that I come at my job that I love. I come in teachable, and I come in being able to like ask questions and feel good about what I do. I can finish a job and be really happy and excited about it. And then also, you're going to work with different people who have different personalities and who approach things differently. And I've had to just, kind of roll with it a little bit more. Like in my 20s, I wouldn't have rolled with it. I would have butted heads a lot. So I've had to really learn how to just kind of go with the flow, and, people interact different, people teach different. I've had to, even within jobs, is to, some people, they're trying to explain something to me, and I am not understanding with their teaching style. And it's okay. It's not that it's wrong. It's just like I learn a little bit different than somebody else. So I look for people who I can go to help me understand how something needs to be done. And it's okay. I don't have to make any kind of judgment on it. And that has really helped me in just, kind of like having peace in my day and serenity and looking for the good. I don't know if we were supposed to answer the second part of the question, or I know we talked a little bit about like continuing in our career.
Yeah.
Did you want me to continue about that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so I'm a worker 2, worker 3, and so that means like I'm like on the 3rd step of the ladder. And so for me, it's pretty easy to continue my learning. I'm still in training, but in addition, in the trades anyways, there's always something new to learn. And so whether it's taking classes or finding somebody who has more experience, or sometimes like going over to the carpentry shop and like, what are you doing? Because sometimes it pertains to what we do. I do just get curious. Learn to be curious. And the last thing that I think I'd like to throw out there is like you being a mentor, and consider like going into a classroom, or like for me it would be like going into a trades, like either Laney College or Chabot, or a high school that has some trades program. And I have like, just kind of fell in my lap to mentor another young woman who's interested in the trades, and there's just really something special about being able to pass it on. So it is, sometimes we learn more when we're teaching. We figure out like, oh, this is what I know, or this is what I need to learn more about, as we try to pass that on to other people. So anyways, that's it. Thanks.
So I kind of was taking some notes from both of you as you were talking, some little nuggets of truth. Crystal, you said that if you don't know it, learn it and apply it. And I love that, because for me, I do that. I don't ever claim to know everything. I have a daughter, and I'm trying to raise her to be strong, independent, and smart. And I always tell her, if you don't know it, honey, learn it, and I can help you. Let's read it, let's watch it, let's do it. So that really struck with me, because again, I love learning, but I always love imparting that onto other women. And then Diane, you said look for those that allow you to grow and learn. We all have different teaching styles and learning styles. And even here I have found I don't learn to the best of my ability with some women or even men, and that's okay. There's a room full of women and men who I probably could. And so jump out of your comfort zone and find those people and be willing to grow and learn and stay curious. I like that. That was fun. This next question is going to be for Jamie and Gina Baker. What was a significant hurdle you faced in your career, and how did you overcome it?
So when I was thinking about this question, you said significant, but so I was thinking about like a big hurdle that I have overcame already, like in the past. But I think significant can be something that's happening in the present too. And I think some significant hurdles I've overcome is getting my degree. I feel like that's a big deal.
Absolutely.
And I worked really hard for it.
Absolutely.
And then also getting into the district, it's really hard. I mean, doesn't matter how many interviews I've had, but just to get denied something, nobody likes that feeling. And somebody mentioned you have to have confidence in yourself. And so that's something that I have to constantly remind myself of, my competence, my knowledge, no matter who else is in the room or how much smarter they may be than I am, how much experience, just humbling yourself and being able to learn. And I think another significant hurdle that I face on a daily basis, including today, is having to prove to people that I am not a kid. I'm somebody's kid. But here, no, and I've been blessed with youth. But having to remind people, it's not okay to ask how old I am. I'm not a child. I am in charge of this job site, surprisingly. And just having to have that confidence in yourself and not to be aggressive or cocky about it, but just taking on that leadership role and being firm about who you are and what you stand for. And how do I overcome that? Just remembering who I am and people who raised me and where I've come from. So that's how I overcome my hurdles.
That was a good one. So the question is, what was a significant hurdle you faced in your career and how did you overcome it? I quit. No, one of the significant, I'm walking around this table. One of the significant hurdles that I had in my career, sorry now, see, was that I'm a Boomerang employee. I said that. I worked here in '84. In 1984 is the year I graduated high school. I'll never tell that story again. And we taping this. So some of y'all are doing the math, don't do it. I'm 2 years to 60. And my daughter, I had a kid. I graduated high school early, had a kid. My father-in-law, who he became my father-in-law, worked here. And he was like, they have a temporary opening, you need to apply. So I was a telephone radio operator here first. And that was amazing. And it was amazing because I was 18. And it was $10 an hour, which was, in 1984, baby. I was the best dressed to all my friends, all my apartment. I had a car. It was $10 an hour 40 years ago. So the funny thing is, though, is that as I continued on in my career at the district, I got married, had a kid, and my kid had a chronic illness. He was born with a chronic disease. And it required so much time off work because his first year of life, he was hospitalized 46 times. There are only 52 weeks in a year, right? So imagine what that does to your performance at work. My performance was stellar, but I was not always here. And because the district wasn't so big on work-life balance then, I'm just gonna keep it a buck. They were not. So what happened was, I had to make some decisions. I was always getting in trouble or always getting written up, so I had to pivot. So when pivoting is crucial in life, you have got to learn how to pivot. Sometimes we create a plan for ourselves and it does not always work out. It is super duper important, I've determined, to live a life by design, or you will live a life by default. And who wants a default life, right? So I had to pivot. I did leave the district because my kid was really sick. I stayed home with him for a year and then started trying to kind of recreate myself, started working in my kid's school because I could be with him all the time. And then it occurred to me, he's always in this hospital. So I got a job at the hospital. No lie. He would be upstairs and on the floor, I'd be downstairs working. And sometimes I'd take my break and go upstairs and come down. But those are the things that folks don't consider often as women. This isn't just it for us often. The things that we do here are often a very small portion of what we do in life. And it is all impactful on how we show up at work. So it's important to learn how to pivot, to learn how to really do what's best for you. And it's also important to really be clear about what's important. And sometimes that means making really hard decisions. Now, here in 2024, I feel like I could go to my director, I could go to Derry and say, yo, my kid, he's really, really sick. Is there a way that, and I feel like maybe we could work some things out. Back then it wasn't that way. So I had to learn how to pivot. My kid is 30, he's great. But pivoting is crucial. Wait, I had something else to say because the question was, thank you. How did I overcome it? I quit. I quit, right? And then dropped the mic. I should have done it, right? I should have dropped the mic. See, Milani, we should have practiced this before. But I did quit because I felt like I had to. I didn't feel like there were other options. I created other avenues for myself, went on to create a new life, retired from that, and came back here. Because also, while you're in an environment, because you don't know what's going to happen, and you don't know what your pivot's going to look like, always be able to return to where you left. Always. There's that.
Thank you. I'm just kind of pulling little truths out of every little answer that you guys give. Jamie, be firm about who you are and what you stand for. I love that. And Gina, have to learn to pivot. Live a life by design, not by default. I think a lot of us get stuck by living a life by default. It's just kind of just happens that way. We get comfortable. We get used to kind of what we're doing and the role we've assumed. And that doesn't always have to be the case. Push those boundaries, pivot, quit. If it means having to quit, it's not always that bad. If it leads you to something greater and it leads you to what you're meant to be and who you are and what gives you, that fire to be your most authentic self. Moving right along. So I'm going to go back to Gina Jenkins and Nalani. And this one is, I like this one because I'm a stress ball. How do you handle stress and pressure in your role? What steps do you take or what tools do you use to better prepare yourself for stressful situations in the future?
I'm not stressed at all.
You're always stressed.
Okay, so the question is to lie or be truthful. So I'm gonna choose truth. I'm not very good at that. So I will say that. So I thought about how can I embellish and give you something that would be useful or some wisdom. Can't do that. So I'm a Gemini and I have two very distinct sides. One is highly agitated quickly and the other is extremely chill. So it's always been a constant battle for me to get from highly agitated to chill in my personal and professional life. And it's been an ongoing struggle for me. And I will say that where I am now in my life, I'm more closely to chill most of the times than I am highly agitated. So I'll give you an example of highly agitated at work, right? And part of it is realizing I can't control other people's actions. So the things that would get me agitated would be someone else. It wouldn't be my own doing, generally speaking, because if I'm mad at myself, I don't get agitated. I just vow to do better. But what would get me agitated would be people not performing to the level I wanted, or people not hearing me, or people mansplaining things to me, or just the reactions of other people that would cause me to get highly irritated. So what I've had to do is it's not good for my health, it's not good for my mental health. So I now have been working, I still get irritated, still close my door, I still vent and drop F-bombs in my privacy of my office. But what I do now is not dwell on it. You're going to get agitated, situations are going to irritate you. But for me, I have to have a balance of not dwelling on it, because when I would dwell on it, I'd take it home and I would replay situations and it would impact me in my chill zone. So when I get home, I've tried to create a space for chill. And there's a clear line for me now in my mind, and my son finally moved out of the area, so his old room is my zen den. So I chill with purpose now, and I'm very aware of situations at work that can get me agitated. Okay, vent, you got a minute, you have to move on, because you can't dwell on things you can't control, and you can't dwell on the actions of other people. If there's some things you recognize in yourself that you can change, do that. And wherever you need to do to lessen the stressful situations for you that you can handle, whether it's instead of on the 15-minute clock, if you need to take a break, walk around, breathe, stretch, exercise, remove yourself from the situation, wait 30 minutes before you send that email reply when you're irritated. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. So I'm still a work in progress. I recognize that as part of my life, professionally and personally. And also, I'll say this, as a manager, that's not a good example for my staff. If they see me react and fly off the handle all the time. They need me to be someone who's, and somebody actually mentioned this to me once, they need me to be more calm in situations. They need me to not react to every little thing, because they in turn do the same. And they're looking for me generally for direction and calm. You know, we usually follow the lead of our manager, so I know some of you are thinking, Mike Wallace, you follow his lead? But Mike didn't put himself in situations where he knew there would be some conflict. He sent his managers to do that dirty work, right? So he didn't put himself in those situations. So try to avoid situations where you know there's going to be conflict and manage the things that you can manage for yourself. That's my story.
So I feel like I should just say ditto for her.
No.
Can I?
No.
I'm gonna sit down. Go ahead, sit down. How do you stress my? So, how do I handle stress and pressure in my role? Well, first off, I became a grandmother
Yay.
2 years ago, so that's my love. And now I have 2 granddaughters, and so that's my love. That's how I handle my stress. I look at a picture of them, or I call one of them and they say my name and it's all over. It's the easiest way to lower my stress. Other than that, I have a good group of friends here. And I started very early on talking to people, partially because I ran the side shop and I've probably talked to every single person in this room. And so many more. So know people, like know who you can talk to them. I have a really good group of supervisors that we probably, at least 3 of them I talk to every day. And we bounce things off of each other. And it makes a big difference because like her, my crew wants me to be calm, and I can walk out there and be calm, and I deal with something, they're like, wow, look at you, you're so calm. But they didn't know I was in my office for 20 minutes. One of my supervisor or my poor superintendent, who every day I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? So I would say talk to people. It's really, really important. That's how I keep my stress down. Not only my granddaughters, but it's having an outlet. Having somebody to talk to. I mean, I've talked to Gina, I've talked to, well, you and I have talked. I've talked to Sophia Skoda. I mean, you know, it's just, and when I first started here, I had a mentor. The first day I walked in this door, my supervisor connected me to a mentor who was the manager here. And it made a big difference. It made a huge difference because, like, being a tradesperson, one, coming in here as the only woman in carpentry, had only been, I think there was a woman before me, like 10 years prior to that. And the first weekend I was here, I was in the machine shop and somebody looked at me and said, the only reason you got this job is because you're a woman. And I went, and I was like, and my mentor was like, you'll hear that all day long here. And it was hard. It was hard because I wanted to go, are you kidding me? You know nothing about me. Like, you don't know my background, you know nothing about me, but you're making that decision because I'm a woman. Later on, we actually became friends. You know, because, and we've talked about it before. I mean, you know, he's gone now. He's retired now. I always say I can bury somebody in concrete and you'll never know. Did I say that? Sorry. What steps do I take to, what tools do I use? Yeah, I answered that question. I just talk to people. I think that's the easiest way to control your stress here, and if you can tell, I'm kind of a stressful person. I have anxiety for the simple fact I want to do my job really well. That's what makes me most proudest to be here, is to do my job really well. And I do it really well. I have the imposter syndrome thing going in my head right now saying, are you sure, are you sure, are you sure? But I do, and
You do.
And in some 990 days, I will be retired.
What?
Something like that, I figured it out. 984. 984?
Yes.
You're 94?
I'm 984.
992 or something like that.
And that's you.
Okay, 998. I have to do math. Anyway, so I would say bottom line is talk to people. Talk to your family, talk to your supports here. That will make a difference, and network, because you have no idea the person next to you could become your best friend. And that could be the person you end up leaning on. So.
I really like that. Know who you can talk to. Find a support network. I think you're going to find that a lot of us are going through kind of the same internal struggles as our cube mate, as someone down the hall. Just might not talk about it. So yeah, know who you can talk to. Find.
Trust but verify, because you don't want to come back with information that's incorrect. It's not going to make you look good when you're putting something out there. I would also say, again, going back to networking, building allies, mentorships. I would also say degrees, certifications. Get that license. It might be difficult. Even today, I'm working on I have a PE license and whatnot, but I'm working on a contractor's license, right? I mean, if we can hire contractors to do work, I want to understand where they're coming from. So there's always degrees and certificates that you can get to advance your career. Just look them up and find them. Go to conferences. LinkedIn is your friend. Always have at least one business card, but not too many because you don't want to look needy. You got to dig for it. Like, oh, I know it's here. That's a trick. But yeah, so just continuing to educate yourself and get yourself involved in projects. Go accept that project, do that project. And for people that are really young in your career, get out in the field, because if you can get out in the field now and see things and see that valve and see that pump and figure out how it works, go to the treatment plants, go to the sites, because as you get further on in your career, you get locked and chained, handcuffed to your computer, and you can never leave your desk. But, so that'd be one piece of advice that I would give you, is just get out there and see what everybody's doing, and any opportunity you get, do that. So.
I can ask you a completely different question. Well, because we are kind of nearing the end, and I do want to give time for the audience to ask any questions. So if you are all comfortable with that, I will allow the audience to ask some questions. Anybody want to start us off?
Hi, I'm Deborah Russell, Supervisor of Wastewater Design. I'm just wondering if any of you want to share your challenges with work-life balance and bringing up families while becoming leaders in our field.
My daughter's 4. I don't know, not anymore.
What's your name? Jennifer?
Deborah.
Deborah, I'm sorry. I'm terrible with names. Jeez Louise. I will say the district is perfect for that. And that's one of the reasons I actually came to the district. I left, I was at UPS, I was on the fast track, I was doing all these wonderful things, could have been this, that, or the other, but then I had kids. And I decided that that was more important for me, to be a mother and a manager, but mother would always trump manager for me. And it got to the point where I was going to have to relocate. That wasn't going to work for me. And also, putting in so many hours as a manager, I wasn't putting in the hours that I needed to for my children. So for me, what I would advise, men and women, you have to be clear that family comes first. Period. Once you're clear on that, the rest of it has to work around that. Much to what Gina B said. She made a choice to leave. EBMUD, though, has an excellent work-life balance. And if you enjoy your job, I think the district is a perfect place for you to have that balance. If you have to set some boundaries with your team and your manager, you have to do that. You have to be clear. And if it's not working for your schedule, then you have to make that choice for your life. A lot of people leave the district and come back. They don't wait as long as Gina B did, but they come back. You can't be conflicted. So it has always worked out for me because I have always been clear on what comes first, and that's men and women. It has to be family first, and that makes the decision easier. But I think the district has been very good for me. My daughter had knee surgery, and I had to relocate to Los Angeles for 3 months. The district was very flexible for me. So I think there's a way for you to work it out.
Here, I'll add something to that too. I have a young son, he's 11, and yeah, definitely family comes first. If I get a call from the school and somebody's sick, I'm heading out the door. Actually, when I accepted the job here, before I even accepted, I said, well, Wednesdays, I gotta leave at 2:30. I have a family obligation that I have to do. It was part of my hiring. It was like a requirement for me that I'm leaving early on Wednesdays. It's like, so you have to put those boundaries out. And, you know, when I was younger, I would work 7 o'clock at night. I'd be, you know, really late, no children. And then when at one point I got a job up in Portland, Oregon at the Water Bureau. And they had a saying up there that was 4 is out the door. And if you were in the office after 4 and went out to the parking lot, there was not a single car in the parking lot. But you take Valley Water, where I worked for 6 years, those cars, and they're in the parking lot till like 7, 8 o'clock at night because they're all type A personalities trying to get promoted and excel. So it's really a lot to do about the organization that you work for and that attitude. And so if you can build a culture with your coworkers, that's also very important. So, but you know, I was once out to dinner with a president of my board of directors at another water agency. And I looked at him, this guy, he's a successful businessman, PhD, has a degree in engineering from Stanford, and you know, multi-millionaire, and he has all these patents. And I looked at him and I said, so tell me, how did you do all of this and raise your kids and, you know, and get all these patents and become so successful? He looked at me and he said, well, I've got a wife. And I was like, what? They took no ownership. And for us as women, you know, family and children, I mean, that's #1 priority, right? So it just blew my mind that he had that attitude. And so, you know, it's important that you set your boundaries and you know, work at a place that appreciates, you know, work-life balance, and you build the culture around it.
Do we have any other questions? We have time for one more.
I guess I'll stand. Hi, Sarah Plummer. I'm an engineer at the design division. I think a stereotype that typically exists for women is that we always have the tendency to say yes to things, even necessarily when we shouldn't. So I was curious if anyone had any examples of boundaries that they've set in their career and how that's either benefited or potentially even impacted that.
Great question.
Okay. It's a work boundary. So some of you may know this about me, but I'm somebody who is, I'm not gonna say controlling, because that's not it.
What would other people say?
I'm having this problem right now with something. So I'm somebody who is just like, I need this information by this date, or I'm gonna take care of this by this date. And if you don't make it by that day, I'm like, I can't do it for you. So I've created this boundary with a number of people in the district where I give you long leeway. Like, I have a job coming up, it was supposed to hit to me in December, it's not hitting me until May. They want me to get it completed by June, and I'm like, no. You needed to get it to me by December or January. I understand things happen, but I have a crew that goes basically outside as of April, May, and works outside until September. I can't really bring them inside the building right now. So I'm somebody who, if I do what I say and I say what I do. So if I say that there's this line, I understand things happen, but I can't, my number one goal is facility maintenance and construction of the water. All this extra stuff that we do as carpenters in the sign shop is extra fill-in work, and I can't put the fill-in work in front of construction and maintenance. Sometimes people ask me to do it. If there's an ability for me to do it, great, but I do put a line there where I'm like, it's not my fault you didn't get me the stuff in time. And I think once you create that line and you stick to the line, people then give you the stuff when you need to give you the stuff. But if you keep moving the line, you know, it's in life, right? I just did this with my dog the other day. I kept moving the ball, you know. I kept saying, no, you don't get to play with the ball anymore. And I didn't put the ball away, and I just kept playing. And then she just keeps playing with me. Instead of me just going, no, you don't get to play anymore, and I put it away. That was a weird analogy. Sorry.
Did you get it?
Okay.
So take the ball away.
Yeah, take the ball away. So my point being is, like, I used to say yes a lot, like, especially when I ran the sign shop. Yes, this, yes, this, yes. And to the point where I was driving myself insane because I was trying to take every because the sign shop works for the whole entire district, right? It's not just the west side or the east side or admin building. We work for the whole entire district, and I think people don't know that, and so they just assume we can drop everything, do something for somebody, and I'm like, no, we can't. So if you hold the line and say no, then no is no. But if you do what you say and you say what you do, people respect you.
To that point, no means no, right?
That's right.
So when you plan, some of us plan our work. Me, I sit up on Sunday evenings and I plan my week. I look over the schedule, but I'm old, so I have to do this my way. So I sit and I look at everything. And when there's a hiccup in that process, then I'm a little out of sorts. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm not flexible. It just means that if we were all in the same meeting and we know what the directive has been and we know, each of us know our parts, and because maybe one person has, or two people are maybe a little tardy for the party and do a little dump on you, then it's mad. Lately, there's been a couple of times where I've gone ahead and finished up and said, oh, I'll just chalk it. But what I notice happens when you do that is people, it's not just that one time. They will keep, and then it almost occurs as disrespect, right? And so then you're resenting them, but you're still working, and then you're mad, and you go home, and you're hollering, kicking the dog, you're kicking the ball, you're kicking the dog, right? So it's important to really stand in, no, that doesn't work for me right now, I'm super sorry. Of course, you know, things happen, your director needs something, whatever, okay, yeah. I'm not saying don't do what you're told. I'm just saying that if there is, stand in taking care of yourself, because all of this ripples into your other life, right? Stand in taking care of yourself, because when you don't, oftentimes, it might even discount your role. You know, if people think they can constantly dump on you. So I really think that's important, because are they dumping on anybody else? So those are all things to think about.
Is that it? Did we make it? Well, I want to thank you ladies so much for making this panel happen. This was my first year doing this, so I was scared, very scared. We're done, yay. So just from the bottom of my heart, thank you for contributing. I learned so much from all of you, and I actually am very excited that if I ever have any questions or concerns, and I can come to each one of you, and I love that. So thank you for that.
And